Alrighty, we are going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to our April Coach Happy Hour. My name is Brooke Anderson, and Kaitlin and I are just going to be sharing a little bit of our stories tonight and some of our fears getting started, what coaching entails, how to earn, all of the things. So we hope this leaves you just with knowledge of, best next steps for you, your family, all of the above. So just to give you a background of who we are, who our team is. So first off, I'm the founding coach of our team 5 years ago. And so primarily we are in the Midwest. I live in Iowa. I know Kaitlin lives in Iowa. But that's not where all our team is. A lot of our team is, which makes it super fun. But we're all the way to California, to North Carolina, to Canada, to UK, all over. And what I love about us, it's not that we're not special, but none of us have this amazing, wow, she is just she has a million followers and this is just this, incredible human beings. Of course, we're all incredible human beings, but we're all just your average mom. A lot of us are moms. We have college girls because you can start being a coach at age 18 all the way up to grandmas in their 50s and 60s working this. And we're just so normal. That's what I love about our team. We're so normal. I put a list of I just off the top of my head, I looked at these pictures and I just wrote down our different occupations. We range from working in healthcare to childcare to school systems to being managers in church work. The spectrum that people start coaching from and continue coaching with are all over the board, but it's so fun to come together for a common purpose of health and wellness combined. So a lot of us get together 2 to 3 times a year. If you're local, we get together. We try to every couple months. And then of course we get together virtually because that's the beauty of this business. We can be in our jammies. We can have blankets on us. We can have our drinks. Our babies can be tucked in right next to us and have our team call nights are actually tonight, right at this time, every single Monday, where we learn from each other. We train with each other and we have a lot of dang fun along the way, if you cannot tell. So Kaitlin is gonna kick us off with her story and a little bit about her.
I first have to just say I love this picture on a big screen because I never noticed Charlie in the background. What are you doing, Mom? So I just want to take a second quick to thank you guys that are on here and whoever's watching for taking a moment. Brooke and I know time is precious, and we fill up our time. So we really appreciate you being here and at least listening in to see if this could be something for you. So a little about me. My name is Kaitlin. I am married to my husband, Ben, who is a firefighter. He's currently on a 48-hour overtime, so we need him to come home. And we have 3 little kids. So you can see him here. Charlie is 3, Jack is 2, and then John, our newest, is now 6 months old, which is crazy to think about. Time is going way too fast. And then I work full-time as a physician assistant. I work at the Children's Hospital in Iowa City. So that's kind of my demographics, whatever you want to say. And a little about how I ended up here. I'll try and keep this to the point because I could talk about it, as most of us could, forever. But the short and sweet version is, so going back it's actually almost been a year and a half, 2 years ago, which is crazy. So 2 years ago, I was in this setting where I was now postpartum with my second. I was getting ready to go back to work. And this was also kind of the beginning of the pandemic. So as you can imagine, it was all the things. And I remember this feeling of just becoming very aware how every single part of my day was about somebody else. From the moment I woke up to the moment I went to sleep, I was a mom, I was a wife, I was a friend, I was a coworker. I was giving of myself for every single part of my day, all day, every day, wake up, repeat. And I just had this feeling of how unsustainable that was. But I can't say I necessarily knew exactly what to do. I could just feel like I can't do this forever. I can't give and give, which I love to give. It comes very naturally, but I could just feel that I had to figure out a way to refill my tank and to kind of take care of myself. So that's going on. in the background, I'll still have no idea how I was looking for. I was watching her, take out and her health and wellness, often with kids at her feet. I was watching her talk about how she was sharing these tools with other women and growing this awesome community. And then maybe my favorite part is I was watching her share about how she was helping other women reproduce this same system for their own business. And I was watching her go on trips. And so these things were kind of lining up where, I'm looking for something and I'm also watching her do exactly what I wanted, which at the time I was very content with just sitting in her stories and watching forever. But I still remember, so I'll try and get to the point, but I had actually started to do some home workouts when the pandemic hit, as most of us had. And I had a lot of success with my sister and was feeling good. And I still remember this night, my husband's on a guy's trip. I tell this story every time, but my husband was on a guy's trip. I had managed to get both my kids down to sleep at the same time. They were sleeping. I was drinking a beer. I just felt like I just have the world figured out. And I was watching Brook on this trip. And I reached out and said, all right, I haven't responded to you before, or talked to you before, but I want to do this and I want to coach, which is ironic now being on the flip side of it because it doesn't happen often. But I, woke up the next day, had this minute of like, what did I do? But honestly, I haven't looked back since. And I have fallen in love over and over again with the process for myself. And I'm learning with time that I really enjoy also sharing those tools with other women and watching them go through the same thing. And so I think that's why we get so excited about trying to grow the number of women that we have doing that same thing, like reproducing that same system and building businesses that entail taking care of yourself and helping others. So that's kind of how I ended up here. That's me.
All right. Yes, I could listen to your story over and over again. I love it so much, especially the part about the beer and then the instant, like, what did I do in the morning? I think we've all been there with something, whether or another. So currently, I have 4 kids, 6, 5, 3, and 8-month-old. So Kaitlin and I both have had babies in the last year. It's fun. It's tiring. But it's just, again, I just like look at what this business job has done for us. Like, I'm like, this is also a business. It's not only like helped us keep ourselves first and foremost for our families, but it's also grown in other ways, whether it's financially or helping other women or just in so many different ways. It impacts all of our lives. But I flash back 5 years. I had taught elementary for 5 years and I loved it. I loved the kids. I loved learning. I loved implementing new strategies. Couldn't wait for my own babies, and then had my first baby. And I was like, crap, like all of a sudden this thing that I love doing, my heart was not in it anymore. My heart was at home with my first baby and knowing that, hey, we hopefully, God willing, want 2, 3, 4 more babies. How am I going to make this work? And at that time, like we could not financially make it work having one income. We could, but it would have made me sacrifice our giving, our spending, our way of life, our travels that we love to do. And I didn't want to have to put that burden on myself, my husband, because I wanted to stay home. So I knew I had to find something. And I was like, oh, I told my husband, I was like, I know what I'm going to do. And I'm sure to this day, I'm like, did you think I was just crazy? And I was like, there's this girl that I watch on social media because we both just had our first baby. Well, she had her third baby. I had my first baby. She's like into fitness and she shares about like how she left her fitness job and she does it from home with her babies at her feet. Like I can do that. And my husband's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I've never talked to her. I've never liked a photo. Like back then there weren't stories. So you couldn't tell I was like creeping on everything she shared. And I was like, I'm going to do it. She did it. Why not me? That was just like my mentality. I'm like, she can do it. Like I can post on social media. I could do all those things. So I jumped in really with the customer mindset, coaching and customer all at once. And that first year was just tremendous. I didn't realize how much I needed this, kind of like Kaitlin said, for me. Like, and I worked the business. I wanted to make this such a business, but that first year was so transformative just for myself, and finally realizing like all of these pretty bad habits and nasty behaviors that I had toward exercising for punishment, and especially exercising for the way I look, or, you know, sneaking in foods or not eating foods, and just like all those things that I wanted to weed out desperately, because kids pick up on that, right? Like kids pick up on the littlest things, and they know when we're hiding things, they know when we're sneaking things, they know when, yeah, all of those things. And I wanted to set the best example, and I wanted to feel my best into motherhood. I remember I got my first bag of Shakeology and I almost threw it in the trash. Even though I was a coach, I was like, this is the scheme right here. And this is how they make a quick buck. Like, I'm not going to fall into it. It sat there for a month, and I was like, okay, fine. Like, I guess I'll give it a try. Like, I am signed up to be a coach. Like, might as well just give it a try. Megan said to use it every day for a month. Like, I'll see what happens. And by this time I was pregnant with our little guy on the floor right here, our second. And after about 3 weeks of using it every single day, like my coach Megan told me to do, I remember I was going in for my nightly bowl of ice cream, and all of a sudden, like, I was like, oh, I just rather have an orange. I like, that sounds better. And my husband's like, what are you doing? I don't know. This sounds really good. And then like after that, I remember looking in the mirror the next day or the next few days, and I'm like, I have like ab definition, even though I have a 15-week belly going on, and I had muscles, and my face slimmed down, and I just felt so good pregnant. I'm like, oh my goodness, if I feel this so like this good pregnant, I can't imagine what this is going to do for me when I'm postpartum. So I got hooked right away. So if you are ever skeptical, because I know I was at that, like my piece of advice is just give it a shot. The reason why it is maybe a little pricier is because the quality is unmatched. And I've tried a lot of shakes in the past. And for me, it came down to like, okay, it's $4 a day. Like, what could I give up? Like Starbucks, the random trip to Target where I dropped $60. So we make it work if it's a priority. So that's where we started. So that's a little bit of my story. My main goal with this was to leave my teaching job and cover my teaching pay. And with really, really hard work, after deciding to treat this like a business, I was able to do that about around year 2 and year 3. And here we are 5 years later. So crazy how if you just keep chugging away at it, what can happen. But Kaitlin is going to take off with social media as being a fear, because this is definitely one of hers.
Yes. And so please know we all come to the table with hesitations and fears and all the things. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. So when I woke up the next day, I was like, oh gosh, I have to do things. And it's funny that I get to talk about social media, because pre all of this, I think I posted on social media like once every 6 months, and had never been on my stories, let alone talk in my stories. But the one thing that I enjoy about this is when I think about how I used social media before this, I would say that I used it somewhat selfishly. And I don't mean this in a bad way, but like my goal with social media was to post a cute picture of my kid and then to check in 4 hours later and see if I got any likes. I mean, that was like the purpose. I was not a very interactive person on social media, which almost makes me sad now to think like I've come to realize that people share things on social media with the purpose of being social and being supported. And I was not very good at doing that before. Like I was the person that would scroll, but would not stop and engage on anyone's posts, even like things that now I'm like, I notice a lot more now. Anyways, so I think that I understand that fear, because I was going to have to transition from not being present to all of a sudden one day waking up and it's like, what is Kaitlin doing? But I am one of those people that kind of just goes all in, and our team is very good about sharing the things that set you up for success. And so when I was told, you have to show up, you have to share what you love, talk about the things that you're doing, share those things in your life that you're comfortable with, I was like, all right, I'll do it. It was incredibly awkward. I think I wrote out a script for the first time I talked on my stories, which is incredible. But as you do, as with anything, as you show up day in and day out, and being present and being kind of this consistent face that is, sharing what she loves and also sharing her life and letting people kind of come into that and sharing from a place of not what do I get out of this and who's looking at me and who's listening, but to be really honest, I've switched my perspective to sharing with the purpose of if there's somebody else out there that was in the position I was in when I started and they're watching and they're looking for something too, I hope that I can be that person for them. I hope that they take a chance on themselves and jump in and see what this could mean for them. And I've been very fortunate to watch a lot of women do that alongside of me just through sharing and communicating with them and connecting. And that brings me back every single time because even though sometimes that's the hardest part to put yourself out there, if it comes from a place where it's not about you necessarily, but it's more so about remembering where you were and where this took you, and hoping to bring some other people along and allowing them to feel like I feel now and helping them feel like I feel now, then it becomes a lot easier. Because you can sit back and think about what do people think and how do I come across all these different things. And I think that that really limits how you show up. But when you show up from a place of who could this serve, what could this provide in their day to day, it makes showing up and doing those things a lot easier. It still is awkward. I still have moments where I'm like, what did I say? But again, I think it's just that transition in showing up from a place that's not so selfish and so self-centered and rather comes from a place of like, I don't know if servant or what word you want to use, but it's really changed my perspective. And I've been very fortunate because being social on social media, I notice people a lot more. I notice the things people are going through. And I've built some really amazing relationships outside of the people that join me as customers or coaches or different things. Like I have really built some incredible relationships through social media. So
Yeah, I loved you just came in just starting to share. And I feel like, yeah, it's just been so fun. Our whole team just like got to know you because sometimes coaches, like, I get it, we're frozen and we don't want to share right away, but it's really cool how like your people just come and support you and surround you when you do step out. Cause we've all been there. Like no one just, showed up and like had done this before. It's like we all start somewhere with zero everything. I'll jump down to, of course, we have the others' opinions. I feel like I can mesh 2 and 3, but that was number 3. I don't want to be salesy. And that friend was like my biggest fear. I'm like, I don't have a sales bone in my body. Like that gives me hives thinking I have to like sit there and like try and sell something to people. And like, yeah, that's just not me. And I just remember my coach said this to me. She's like, well, was I really salesy to you? Was I icky to you? Was I like, did I turn you off? And I'm like, no, you never really once did. Like you just shared your life. You shared tips. You added value. Like I genuinely loved everything you talked about because I got it. I'm in the same season that you were. And she's like, and that's exactly what you'll be for someone else. Like Kaitlin was talking, like when we share things and we talk to people, we're talking to that person who was us before, and it just hits them straight into the heart. And I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like, yes, a sales transaction may happen down the road, but I don't have to shove all of this sales down in their face. It's more about the relationship and the connection first, which was so freeing to me to really just dive into this. So we're going to talk about money because that is a real thing. And I'm just going to break it down really, really quickly. There's really 4 ways we can earn. I'm not going to read them. I'm really just going to focus on the first 2, which is commissions. We get 25% commissions as coaches on any sale. As coaches and preferred customers, we also get 25% off all products. So if you are using any sort of product regularly, like monthly or bi-monthly, like get on as a preferred customer. Or if you're like, hey, I want the discount, but I also want to help people, like definitely get on as a coach because that 25% discount is huge. And so commissions with the 25% commissions, when we help people, I know there's going to be a range of people watching this. Maybe you've been a customer before, maybe you've never done this in your life, but we help people get started with what we call the total solution pack, which is pictured right here with the workouts, your first month supply of Shakeology, nutrition plan. You can add on other products, but it comes together for $160. Again, sometimes more, depending if you want more product or not. So it's about $50 for a challenge pack when you help someone get started on their health and fitness journey. So this graphic just breaks it down for you super simply. Like, if you want to, like, hey, I want to get started, I want to start helping people. If you would help 5 people in your first 5 weeks, any 5 weeks of coaching, this still applies to me, it applies to Kaitlin. Anytime you help 5 people in a 5-week span with a challenge pack, you get $100 extra. So you've already gotten those $50 per person, $100. Like, you could have a potential of making $700. And it's really, really cool just to think, like, what could that do for your family? You know, I'm not going to say I sit here and sell a ton of challenge packs all the time, but like, that stuff compounds over time, and those commissions will, 1, pay for your product, 2, will give you extra for Target or Amazon or diapers or date nights or, you know, those little things that I know for me as a mom, like, I just felt bad at the beginning, like, especially I wasn't working anymore. I'm like, hey, I have a little extra money. Yes, it's gives to the family, but I brought this in, like, I can use it and spoil myself. And Kaitlin, I know you say that a lot, like, you love using your Beachbody income to, like, do things that you don't, you know, to spoil yourself, and things that, like, you don't necessarily aren't as a need. It's more of like a want that is also equally important in life. And then we also have what is called the team cycle bonus. And I'm just going to fast forward to this. And income disclaimers everywhere because Beachbody does not guarantee any level of success. It's all due to your diligent efforts and skills. But for the team cycle bonus, that truly is where the commissions are great. I will take 25% commissions all day. But like I said, I'm not out there selling 100 challenge packs a month. Like, I get out there, and Kaitlin gets out there too. We help like 3 to 5 people every single month. Like, that's our baseline. That's like, hey, that's doable. We help them get started. We still have families to run. We still have jobs to do. We still, you know, life is busy. But we can help a few people each month get started. And what that compounds into is called the team cycle bonus, which then what happens is you earn a percentage off of your team. So it doesn't take away from anyone's paycheck. It's not like, hey, Kaitlin made this much, so I get this much of her paycheck. It's just the way the company is set up, and it's the team cycle bonus. So as your team grows, you earn a percentage off that. And that is the biggest potential way of earning. So you can see in January 2017, just in that month, you know, I was paying for products, I was covering diapers. That was about it. It was great. But then fast forward a couple of years, I was able to replace my teaching income, which around that time was around $3,000 plus our monthly grocery bill. Then last year in January, I was able to do all of those things, insert Team Beachbody disclaimer, with my 1 month of coaching income, because like the compound effect adds up. And when women are helping women in their health and fitness journey, then get started on businesses, like, there is the ripple effect just doesn't stop. And people, health and wellness is something that will never go out of style. We will always need it, whether I am a mom in the trenches with 4 kids right now, or until I'm in my 80s with hopefully 20 grandchildren and trying to keep up with everyone and keep up with my kids. Like, it's always going to be important to me. And the fact that I have this income coming in is just exponential to our family now. Is there anything you want to add in about income right now, Kaitlin?
I mean, just that I think one thing is that I've just been impressed with the potential, especially being someone that's working full time and also being like the income for our family for the most part. I mean, I'm very much so it's been fun, I guess I would say at this point for me, just seeing the potential. And when we were doing our taxes, like, there's a lot there for doing something that I would do for free. And so I think that's just my piece. We're in very different places, but it's still amazing. Like the impact I saw from 1 month to 6 months now to a year and a half. So.
All right. Do you want to take this first year?
Yeah. So, we kind of broke it down into like a little bit of what to expect if you were to dive in and consider coaching or to take on coaching. So I think in the first year, something that I kept in the back of my mind the entire time was, one, my goal was for this to always bring me joy. And the other thing is, this is something that I would do for free. I had committed to prioritizing myself and my own health and well-being to be the best version of myself for my marriage, my kids. So I was going to do that regardless. And then to share that and surround myself with women doing the same was a no-brainer. So I would do this for free. But in the first year, I think the biggest things are, one, I honestly, even in the first 6 months, I was in the best shape of my life. I'm a former college athlete. I went to a gym that I did all the things, and I honestly was never in the shape I was in doing something so simple. And I think it's because it eliminated all of the stress, all of the pressure, and I was able to be consistent. And now doing it again, following a pregnancy, it's mind blowing. And then in that first year, it's very, very reasonable. This was actually my first goal, was to pay for the products and to pay for this entire system. My goal was to make this experience free for me. Like, I would do it for free, and now I'm going to pay for it, which is funny because I spent a lot of money to go to a gym that in no way paid me back. So that was my goal, was to help 2 to 3 people pay for the products, even pay for the membership and the small fee, different things, so that it kind of equals out. And then in doing that, in doing those small things, taking care of yourself, helping other people, and covering the cost of your products, it's inherent that you have the ability to earn, which was amazing to me. I was very enticed. I was drawn in by the trips because there's nothing in my life that provides that for me. And the ability to earn those things in your first year is there. I actually earned 3 trips and I went on none of them because I decided to add this cute little human to our family. But the potential is there. And it's simple when you really break it down. And so that's kind of the goal for the first year and how it could look. And I was very fortunate for those things to happen.
Great. Year 2. And with these like years, we're just kind of trying to also, one thing I like to talk about is flipping from that employee mindset to that entrepreneurial mindset. With employees, it's like, hey, you work 40 hours, you get a paycheck. You work 40 hours, you get a paycheck. Like that's how this works. We get commissions, but also like sometimes you're like, hey, I feel like I put in a lot more work and I don't see it in the paycheck. Like, we want you to have that long-term thinking that sometimes the thing you do, like Kaitlin was just saying this to our group, like it might not compound, or you might not see the fruits of the seeds that you're working on today, just like our health journey, till 3-6 months down the road. So just kind of casting that long-term vision for you guys. We have a leadership retreat. We call it our Diamond Leadership Retreat. We've hosted it in Florida the past few years. This year we're doing it in Scottsdale, Arizona. And that's a potential also to earn it in your first year. I know Kaitlin did that as well. I didn't earn it to year 2. So really whenever you're ready to just go after it and make this work, you can go earn it. And it's like Kaitlin said, I never had anyone planning besides my mom. But like now as a grown woman, I'm like, I don't have anyone planning trips for me. They're like, all I got to do is show up, and like, yeah, that sounds really nice. And it's all planned, and it's a lot of fun. And these women are really, really cool. So, another thing is hitting 1 star, and the company has what they called the New Leader Conference for all the rising new leaders. So they take you out. When I went, it was in Los Angeles. This last year, it was in Las Vegas, and they give all the workout trainers are there. They have trainings for you. They just give you all the new products, and it's a really, really cool, intimate experience. And then you're bringing in around $700 to $1,000 monthly if you are following, we're going to talk about a second, like the business activity trackers and kind of the benchmarks of this business of helping those 3 to 5 people a month. Because if you're helping those people, you're gaining those customers that are renewing, you're building up some coaches that might potentially start working the business. So between commissions and the team cycle bonus, earning a percent, like the income is more significant in that second year. Do you want to talk about, I can talk about this. So for year 3, because Caitlin's not there, or you're like a year and a half in, aren't you? Like even 18 months, not even 18 months, but year 3, another big goal is hitting 2-star. And I won't go in like the depths of it, but I always just explain what happens when you hit 2-star is I always like think of a restaurant. I always bring up Chick-fil-A because I love Chick-fil-A. And when they are doing really well in a spot, like what happens? You get to go open another Chick-fil-A. Well, that's what Beachbody allows you to do with your business account. Once you hit a certain milestone in your Beachbody business, then they allow you to open up a whole new business center in your downline that just maximizes everything. So then you build in that business center, and that percentage goes up to your first business center, and that's when the ripple effect really becomes really, really cool. More freedom and flexibility to your schedule. You'll also, on the, besides the monthly income, you'll be getting a quarterly bonus around $800 to $1,000. And then year 4, a lot of us are shooting. We have a couple coaches who are shooting right now for 5-star and elite. Being able to make this your full-time job. And of course you can do all this stuff way earlier. We're just saying like, hey, if you're just like committing to the basic things and making this doable for what you have, I mean, there's definitely been coaches who have gone like pedal to the metal their first year and have done all of this in 1 year, but you got to work for it, right? Like they're working their butts off for it. So just saying, if you're doing the basics and being consistent with it, like this is what you can expect. You're leading a team of leaders. You're seeing your own coaches earn success. And personally speaking, like I always loved helping people in their health and fitness journey, but it brings me to tears. I was on tears today with one of my one-on-one girls of like seeing what this business has done for her family. She's been able to leave her job. She's been able to chip away at debt. She's been able to just do all these things that she's like, there's no way I would have done if it wasn't for that. So like those kind of full circle moment things are just really, really cool to see. So we're going to talk about the just 3 keys to success and then wrap this up. So Kaitlin, go ahead.
Yeah, so the really neat thing about this is coming from someone who had zero idea of what she's getting herself into is the system has been created to set you up for success. And if you're willing to do the vital behaviors or do the things, then, I did these very consistently at the start, and it was incredible. Just doing the things they said to do resulted in the things that we've talked about before. So the system is very simple, and the team that Brook has built and that we're all helping build is very good in sharing and supporting each other too. These are the tools, these are the things to do. So the vital behaviors, my favorite thing, and this was brought up when I first started, and now I'm very aware of it, is that the first thing on the list is to be a proof of the products, meaning it sounds cliche, but to focus on yourself and to commit to your own health journey. And that for me, this taking on the coaching aspect in addition to jumping in as a customer or to committing to the programs is what keeps me around, because it adds this extra layer of accountability. I show up for myself in knowing that there's also people that are relying on me to show up for them too. And so you show up, you commit to your journey, you pick a program, you use the products, and that's the checkbox. That one's done. The next one is kind of what we were talking on earlier, is this idea of getting on social media, or maybe you're someone who has the ability to talk to people out in the real world too. But to talk to people, to connect, to share your journey, and to invite people to join you. And I think Brooke touched on this in a nice way, in that we've all been the recipient of different messages and different things, and you are in complete control of how you talk to people and the connections that you build and how you go about inviting people. And there is there is a way to make this feel very genuine and not salesy, as she mentioned, which is, I think Brooke is very unique in how she does it. And I think she's very much built a team of women doing it the same way. And I think that's why it feels good for us. And so that kind of covers the second box. And then, simple things, the process, how to commit to a program and use the products, and you encourage the women that join you or the men to do the same thing and get them results as well. And the last thing, kind of tying it all back into a focus on you, is that if you are making this a business and you are trying to grow, then you have to challenge yourself mentally and do some personal development. And that for me has been really cool because I used to do that a lot in college, and then got away from it completely. And so it's been fun kind of challenging myself in the way that I think and approach things. And it spills over into all parts of my life, my marriage, my job, everything. So those are the things that we try and do every day, every week. Brooke, you're still muted. Hey, Brooke, you're still muted.
I'm mute. Okay, sorry. I was just saying that I rolled my eye. I was writing in the chat section how I rolled my eyes at PD for like a year because I was like, I don't need that hocus pocus self-help. And yeah, I think when you think that, you probably do need it, right? It's always a thing that we think like we don't need. Shakeology, personal development. Then I'm like, oh, maybe I do need that stuff. So if you're feeling the same way, but just this part of it is just, yeah, we talked about it before, like not those others' opinions, because we're all going to get pushed back in one way or another, when you start, whatever we do, whether it is, something like network marketing, or if you go out and start a brand new business, or if you go and start, really anything. And I just think it comes down to your why, your vision. Like Kaitlin said so beautifully, she's like, I would do this even if I didn't get paid. Like I'd love it for myself. I love it for everyone else. And for me, like I was like, I need to get paid. Like I need something, which, we all, money makes the world go round in a sense, but at the same time, like our visions were just so clear of why we are doing these. And I think that is just so important to keep it first and foremost, especially when we're on social media a good chunk of our day, and it can get lost in watching someone else and watching how they do things, and then losing our identity and what maybe they're doing or thinking or saying, or maybe our family or friends, or heck, even maybe our husbands at times, and just being grounded of like, no, I know how I can make this work. I can make it work for me. She has done it. I can do it too. And it's just kind of keeping that first and foremost is so crucial. And again, I think that's where that personal development, that piece I missed for a good chunk of year of coaching, was so crucial, because when you are fueling your mind with, the things that are true and empowering it, you're unstoppable. And you can hammer out that list that Kaitlin just said, like, yeah, this is the coolest thing in the world. I am going to share it with you, because your mind is just ready and it's going, and you're just loving on people, which just feels so dang good. So that's what that one was about. And then keys to success. I'll let you take that one, Kaitlin.
Teachability and willingness to try new things. I mean, I think this kind of speaks for itself. There are no secrets in this. And I think that was the best part about joining the team that I chose to join. I didn't know it at the time, but I jumped in with a group of women who share everything. The goal is in no way for someone to succeed and everyone else to support them in doing so. It's really for all of us to succeed together and to make this what we each need it to be in our own lives. And I have felt fully supported in that, and all of the tools are there. So if this feels like something that could be for you, and you have the willingness to give it a try, and you also are willing to jump in with the team and to lean into the resources that are provided and to use the systems that have already been built, there is nothing that would keep you from that success as well. And the other really cool thing about this teachability, or also just the resources, is that what I've learned about this team is everyone will meet everyone where they're at in different phases of life, and understand that changes as things change. Walking through having a baby and postpartum after seeing like a ton of upfront success, there was this natural, like, what's going to happen? I need to step away from a couple of things for my own sake. And I was met with only support and ways to stay consistent and ways to continue to build while I felt like I would. So I guess my point in that is just saying that we are a group of women that are willing to meet you where you are at, and there are no secrets, and we will provide the tools. And what you bring is yourself and your willingness to try. And if there's interest there, you can make this into something and to be whatever you want. Brooke and I come from very different sides of things and how this looks for us, but we still do it together and support each other. And that's my favorite part. There's no there's no secrets.
This is our good friend Brooke. And I just love, I put her picture on it because I was like, oh, thanks. She's just like the epitome of just like learning and trying. I mean, you can see her before and after. It's like insane. But also just like the mental transformation and her business transformation. So, but like she had that coachable, and Kaitlin has been the same way. Like you all have to be to evolve and grow. I mean, that's in every area of life. Just to always trying new things. And it's good to be pushed outside your comfort zone. That's how we grow. That's how we adapt. It's good for our kids to see us learn new things and fail at things and be bad at things. And, that's what we want to teach them ultimately. At least I know a lot of us do. So how to get started, and then we'll wrap up really quick. How to get started. I know some people might be customers, some might be brand new to this. If you have not got started with that total solution pack, that has everything you need with the workouts, Shakeology, or whatever products you want to try, and the nutrition, our groups. That is where you start. You'll get your coaching fee waived. If you are currently a customer, it is a $40 coaching fee to get signed up. If you're like, hey, I think maybe I want to be a coach, maybe just start me off as a preferred customer. That's just a $15 fee, and then you can get started, and we'll get you added to our team. We'll send you our new coach getting right start guide. We have new coach calls about once a month. And especially, this is the last thing I'll say, like May is going to be a really exciting month. We have a brand new program coming out called Fire and Flow. And if I ever tell, if I could pick, choose when I would have started my coaching business, it would be a month where we have a new program coming out, because there's nothing like doing it all together. Me, a coach of 5 years, Kaitlin, a coach of 18 months. We're all going to be doing this together. It's so much fun. None of us have done it before. I'm failing, she's failing. We're having a good time, and you feel that community more than ever, and you're empowered to take on this business in a way that I just truly think is different from other months. So if you're thinking about it, now is the time. I hope this was information to help you get started. And yeah, anything else you want to add, Kaitlin?
Oh, just thank you guys again for your time, whether you're here now or listening. We appreciate it.